No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
On a night where the Dallas special teams were better than the Jets special teams, the Dallas goalie was better than the Jets goalie, and the Dallas Finnish players were much better than the Winnipeg Finnish players, a season on the brink is not just the name of a made-for-TV movie that was filmed in Winnipeg. It's the current state of the Winnipeg Jets season. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets dropping a 3-1 decision tonight to the Dallas Stars, which was also the lead in the series now for the Stars by that same 3-1 margin. Along with Dave Manouk, along with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Gentlemen, great to see you both on this Tuesday night. The Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars had all the eyeballs on them, being the only game being played tonight, and the Dallas Stars come away with a well-deserved victory, backstopped by the play of Jake Oettinger.
What's up, boys? Jake Oettinger, definitely a huge story, Drew, tonight. He badly outplayed Connor Hellebuyck, and you mentioned it right off the top, 2 power play goals for the Stars, no power play goals for the Jets, and the Jets power play continues to struggle, only 1 goal in 4 games, and now, I thought that first period, guys, was maybe one of the best first periods that the Jets have had all playoffs long.
I agree.
And, you know, it's got to be disheartening for the Jets when you're having that many great scoring chances, and we'll go over them, right? Gabe Vilardi had 2 really good scoring chances in that first period, and he wasn't able to beat Oettinger, but, you know, sometimes that's the difference, right? Sometimes you can control play at 5-on-5, but it's the special teams and goaltending that comes through. Like, look at Oettinger there late in the third period, right? Like, he was absolutely under siege, whether it was the Jets on the power play late there or if it was when Hellebuyck was pulled and they were throwing everything at the Jets except the kitchen sink, right? So, you know, I think if you're the Jets, like, I had no problem with the way they played for the majority of the game. Obviously, you know, the power play goals are going to be a talking point here, guys, but, you know, they definitely brought it tonight, so to speak. They played with urgency. No, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And, you know, we're at game 5 now in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the second round, and the Jets still haven't won a road game. They haven't won a road game since 2020. I mean, it's something that is just, it's almost absurd at this point that the Jets haven't won a game on the road in the playoffs, right? Considering they're the reigning President's Trophy champions. But I mean, it definitely wasn't for lack of chances tonight. That's what I'm saying. Like, the Stars did not outplay the Jets tonight. That was, I think, as close to the Jets' best that you're going to see at this point in the season.
Look, the Jets' performance on everything other than the scoreboard was admirable. You know, they controlled the flow of play for the most part. You know, certainly in the first period, they controlled a lot of the opportunities. You know, the high danger chances ended up being 9-8 in the Jets' favor. I have the Jets maybe
surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that too. That's according to Natural Stat Trick. I would have thought it would have been a bit of a higher disparity in favor of the Winnipeg Jets. But ultimately, it's a brass tacks business, Dave. And sometimes you can say, you know, the process is good. The process being good is important sometimes in the regular season. But come playoff time, it is the only thing that counts. And the Winnipeg Jets, 1 goal tonight, that's not going to get it done. Not getting enough offense in this series. If you look at the 3 losses, I believe they've scored a total of 5 goals in those 3 losses. And when you have a goaltender who is also not at his best, not that Connor Hellebuyck was solely responsible for tonight's defeat, but simply put, Jake Oettinger has outplayed Connor Hellebuyck in this series. And just like Jordan Binnington outplayed Connor Hellebuyck in the first round, you need more from the Jets' best players if they expect this series to last anything longer than 5 games, with Game 5 coming up on Thursday.
I think that's fair, Drew. I think that, this is an instance of a team that is going to have to show us what they're made of, because so far, look, this was a team that could have been up in this hockey game. They had so many good chances, and really, but for a miscue late in the second period, it could have very easily been a tie game, at least going in to that third period. So this is a game that, again, one of the things that we talked about on the last one was this idea that this team had to be, paying attention to their details. Dylan DeMello taking a penalty, you can argue about the validity of it if you would like, but as Drew says, what the standard, well, we don't really know what the standard is because the refs make it up as they go along, but you have a rough idea that in that sort of instance with the eyes on you, you're especially early, you just couldn't afford to give your team that deficit. And your PK hasn't been, if your PK is, the best PK in the NHL, fine, you can afford to play it a little bit fast and loose with the law, Izzy, but your PK isn't. And again, I'm not trying to say that I'm some sort of prophet, but one of the biggest things I talked about with this team all season long was I said their PK isn't good enough. And, you bring in Luke Schenn and Brandon Tanev to augment it, they weren't good enough. Connor Hellebuyck, the way he's playing right now, wasn't good enough. So those are the problems with this Jets team right now, is that they're making mistakes. I mean, the Nino Niederreiter mistake is, it's just presence of mind who's on the ice.
Sure.
And unfortunately, the mistakes are ending up in the back of the net. And you're right, guys. I mean, look, Jake Ottinger deserves a lot of credit because the Jets had some really good chances, none better probably than Kyle Connor's shorthanded chance. That would have been quite a little bit of a momentum creator, if you will, for those Jets, but he's denied by Ottinger. So, I mean, Dallas fans have a lot of reason to be excited right now. Their team is up 3-1. 3-1 is not an impossible hill to climb. It's not an easy hill to climb by any stretch. And the Jets just have to play better. I mean, it's interesting. One of the things I'm sure we'll talk about is the lineup changes that we saw. Obviously, Luke Schenn comes in for Colin Miller, but I'm specifically, as he talking about the fact that they jumbled their forward lines to start the game.
Yeah, the blender was completely out, and you saw Alex Iafallo up there with Scheifele and Connor. You saw Niederreiter move up with Nemestikov and Perfetti, and I thought Niederreiter actually, we're obviously probably going to be focusing on the turnover, which led to Granlund's second goal, right? The go-ahead goal, but the game-winning goal.
Yeah.
But I thought Niederreiter actually played well when Arniel made that change, and I thought the fourth line looked good early in the game, and Dave's right. I mean, a late goal in the second period when, it looked like you're going into the second intermission tied is a killer. And not to say that, the Jets gave up because, Drew mentioned the first period. I think I mentioned it as well. I thought you could make an argument the Jets won all 3 periods, really, and they just didn't get the goals. And again, that's what hockey's all about. You got to finish. I mean, it's one thing to get shot attempts, and it's one thing, boys, to have expected goals look nice, but you got to get the actual goals for the game to matter, right? But when it comes to the advanced stats, yeah, the Jets look great in this game. I stand by what I said. I think that first period was arguably the best first period or best period that we've seen the Jets play this year, but they didn't end up scoring, right? So, I mean, it's got to be very frustrating if you're the Jets and you play a really solid road game. But again, Dave is right about the PK. The PK has let them down, but for me, it's more so the power play. Now you're completely healthy, guys, right? You've got Ehlers, Velarde, Scheifele, Morrissey all back. They're all back in the lineup. And so you've got your best players on the ice, and you've gone, what 1 for 16 in the 4 games, something like that. And so that's just not going to cut it at this point in the season. And that's what happens. Look, I maintain what I said earlier. I do think the Jets played really well, but it's almost like they played well enough just to lose, right? And that's an issue. Jake Ottinger was fantastic. I'm not taking anything away from Jake Ottinger. That save that he made on Kyle Connor, the breakaway, was a huge save, right?
Well, the pad save before that, that
was also a good save.
That preceded the 2-1 goal. Is a huge save, but
that was a turning point in the game.
That's a turning point in the game.
And by the way, he made a save on Connor, but he also made a save on Scheifele.
Yes. Look, my notes here are just basically Jake Ottinger save, Jake Ottinger save, Jake Ottinger save. I mean, he was outstanding for the Dallas Stars tonight. frankly, the Jets needed a goal from one of their big guns, from one of their superstars. Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Ehlers, of course, got the Jets on the board with the goal just after the power play ended. But they needed one of those guys who had the opportunities to bury an opportunity. At some point in time, and we saw Dallas do it in today's game, at some point in time, when the goal is on your stick, you got to get that goal. You have to beat the goalie. You have to elevate the puck just above the goalie's pad when he's just making an instinctual play to go left to right or whatever it might be. You have to find a way to capitalize. You have to find a way to make that goal matter, make that chance become a goal. The Jets were very good in creating chances. They weren't good enough in turning those chances into goals tonight, whereas Dallas, on the fewer chances that they had, they turned those into goals, and as a result, a 3-1 victory.
Mikael Granlund, probably the game of his life, if not one of the best games of his life, right?
No question.
Earlier in the series, Drew mentioned it when we were doing the pregame show. He's pretty invisible in the 2 games in Winnipeg, at least, on that line. I mean, we remember game 1, guys. Mikko Rantanen, like a one-man wrecking crew. I thought Rupe Hintz was really good tonight. And by the way, this is just kind of random. Like I'm a big Jamie Benn fan. I think I mentioned that on Saturday's show. I really didn't like the cross-check on Scheifele in that third period. I thought that was really cheap. I mean, he gets a penalty, but I just thought that was cheap. I just wanted to get that in there. I mean, at this point in the series, I think, you're going to see that stuff. I mean, you're going to see, players trying to get the best of other players, especially with the series going back to Winnipeg, right, guys?
Especially, Jamie Benn has been relatively invisible this series. I mean, in terms of his on-ice impact, he has not been very good for the Dallas Stars, which is why he was sort of been shuffled around. Pete DeBoer, of course, made some lineup changes as well. We're going to hear from Connor Hellebuyck coming up in a couple minutes here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. He spoke to the media after the game, after a loss, which is not something that he typically does. So we'll bring you those comments from Connor Hellebuyck, courtesy of the Jets Twitter account. And the Jets.
Good on Hellebuyck for talking to the media, Drew.
Well, got to try doing something different at this point in time when you're down 3-1. Dave, you mentioned it, and we talked about it a little bit off air before we started tonight with the Illegal Curve post-game show. What about the juggling of the line? So there was a big blender that sort of came out of nowhere because it was a 180 from how the lines looked at morning skate. Iafallo back up with Connor and Scheifele like they had been at the beginning of the playoffs. Lowry elevated. He plays with Ehlers and Niederreiter. No,
but they also had Niederreiter up with Nemesnikov and Perfetti. They moved. They changed. Arniel changed.
Velarde was with Ehlers and Lowry, and then Niederreiter, Nemesnikov, Perfetti, Barron, Tanev, Mason Appleton. So a big change in the line. Sorry, my brain was short-circuiting there for a second or two. Your thoughts on the changes that the Jets went with in the forward group at the big shuffle tonight?
I thought the fourth line looked atrocious, to be honest with you. I don't know what the hell they were doing, and I don't know what's happened to Morgan Barron's confidence. Looked like it was shot. Mason Appleton, I don't know what he's doing on the ice, to be honest with you, most nights. He didn't look particularly good. I know he had that one interception, which they tried to turn into something. And Brandon Tanev looks like a shell of himself. I mean, there's an opportunity to clear that puck with about 15 seconds to go, and they're in the corner, and he just doesn't know where the puck is. And he goes to hit his man. I know he's tired at the end of the shift, but ineffective on the PK. And the reason he was brought in was to be effective on the PK. So
never mind what happened on the first PK, on the first power play goal, which we'll get into. Brandon Tanev's role in allowing Granlund to walk right in.
And again, look, I'm not picking on the fourth line because they're easy. I mean, the top lines need to produce, and they weren't. It's hard because the Jets had enough opportunities. I mean, you got to give credit to Jake Ottinger. He's an excellent goaltender, which we've been talking about all series long, and pretty much
the top 10 goalie in the league.
Absolutely. And so you've got a guy who's a phenomenal goaltender.
Can I just interrupt you for a quick second? For all of our brethren in the hockey media, now is not the time. Are you talking about the Italy thing? Yeah.
Oh my God. Honestly, I wanted to puke.
Yeah. if you're writing an article in the middle of the playoffs about who should be the starting goaltender for Team USA at the Olympics,
Wow.
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah. Like, honestly,
find something to write about in the series that's going on.
I honestly, I could.
Otherwise, you're wasting ink. Not every, if you want to go back in the summer,
I'm not going to pay 30 cents a month for my subscription if they keep that up.
Well, if you want to go back in the summer and you want to write an article delving deep into the performances of Connor Hellebuyck versus Jake Ottinger and use this series as the leaping off point for that, by all means, a great summer article when it's quiet. In the middle of a playoff series,
it's embarrassing.
Find a storyline to write about the series.
Literally, who cares about that right now?
No, I know, but
nobody.
And for the record, Drew, I did not link it in the morning papers because I thought it was too stupid to even entertain. I thought, oh yeah, that's a real good. That's like, why? You're.
By the way, Hellebuyck is for sure still the number one goalie.
Well, no, it's going to depend on what happens in the beginning of next season.
Yeah, like who cares?
It's not going to matter about what happens now. If Hellebuyck is 25-3-2 with 8 shutouts, you think all of a sudden Jake Ottinger is going to be the number one goalie because he beat Hellebuyck 6 months earlier? I mean, give me a break.
Anyways, I don't disagree with you, Drew. I remember seeing it and I thought to myself, there is a 0% chance I'm including that link in the papers because I wouldn't wipe my arse with it, let alone subject our readers to reading it. Anyways, moving on to the lineup. I mean, look, I understand what Scott Arniel is trying to do, and it's hard to argue with him because they had opportunities, right? So it's not like this game looked like they changed the lineups, they shuffled it up. Again, the only line I didn't really like was the fourth line in terms of I didn't think that they were doing much of anything. I really didn't. They looked kind of like they just didn't have any chemistry. And maybe it's because they didn't, but it just didn't seem like a good mix of guys on that line. It just wasn't working. But yeah, I mean, again, the Jets had plenty of opportunities. I mean, they could have been in, they had those chances in the first period. They had chances in the second period. They had chances in the third period. Again, you have to credit the other team, right? We can't ignore the fact that the other team has a pretty damn good goaltender who made the saves when he needed to. So the Jets are now in a deficit. And again, because they were unable to score, credit Jake Ottinger. And, unfortunately for them, there were opportunities that they could have had Connor Hellebuyck come up big for them. And in some instances, especially on that first one, he didn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty succinct, but it's pretty accurate. I can't disagree with you there. I promised Connor Hellebuyck, let's bring him in. This, again, is courtesy of the Jets Twitter account. I want to hear what he has to say tonight here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. So I'm hearing this for the first time as well, folks. So here's Connor Hellebuyck. It's about a minute long after tonight's game.
What is your mindset have to be going forward with your back against the wall like this? Yours specifically.
Just win one game. Leave it all out there. I leave it all out there every night. I doing my best, and sometimes it's a heartbreak, but all it takes is one little change, one little bounce, and things can start going our way. And we're a good team, so we can really rack them up. But we just got to worry one at a time.
It's a good example of that, Connor, the 4-minute penalty kill that you guys got through 357 of it, and obviously Kyle has that shorthanded breakaway and almost ties it, and then they get the goal right at the end.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of moments in a game that we can really pick out, but none more bigger than the other. Even the smaller moments carry the same weight. So we're going to do this as a team, and we're not out of it yet.
There's Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuyck addressing the media after tonight's game. I sense frustration in Connor Hellebuyck's words there, as he understandably so. You understand why he's frustrated, and I'm not going to read too much into his comments, but I do sense that this is a goalie who is just sort of frustrated and doesn't fully understand why it is happening to the Winnipeg Jets the way it's been happening so far this series.
Yeah, well, how can you not be frustrated when you're down 3-1? Like, how is he supposed to sound, right? I think Connor Hellebuyck is not having a good playoffs. I think that's fairly obvious, guys, especially on the road. I think, even on the second Granlund goal, I just didn't think he looked like, in terms of his positioning, I thought he was maybe a little bit too deep in the net. Like, again, I'm not a goalie guru, but he doesn't seem like the same Hellebuyck that we saw through 82 games. Obviously, he didn't play all 82 games, but you guys know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And, it's got to be frustrating for him because he has set such a high standard for himself. It's not just to be good or just not to be great. It's to be the best goalie in the world. That's what Hellebuyck is referred to as, the best goalie in the world, right? Like, let's not forget that he's going to win his third Vezina and he could win a Hart Trophy. At the very least, he's a Hart Trophy finalist. The problem with that is that's all based on the regular season. That's not based on the playoffs. And he hasn't got it done. He was outplayed by Jordan Binnington in the first round, and he's been outplayed by Jake Ottinger in this round. And it's not as simple as that. I mean, I still, there's people in the chat saying the Jets suck and they look slow and this and that. I mean, come on. If you watch the game, I mean, the Jets were the Jets could have had 3 or 4 goals in the first period alone. Like, let's give them credit here for how well they played, but they didn't bury them, like Drew said. You got to score. You can't just look good out there and create chances. So, I think frustrated is a good word to describe Hellebuyck, and I'm sure all 20 guys that were on the ice tonight are frustrated that they're down 3-1 because I think they played well last game and they deserved. I mean, the Jets could be up 3-1 in this series right now, guys.
Well, I mean, they certainly at least could be tied 2-2. I mean, yes. I mean, they're
why they could have won tonight and they could have won the last game.
Yeah, they could have. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it's not like when they're losing, it's not like they're losing in the same manner that they lost to St. Louis, where the games aren't even close. But anyway you cut it, they're still down 3-1, and they need to find a way to be better than the Dallas Stars' best players. I mean, it's sort of pretty simple. It doesn't require a ton of analysis, I don't think. The games.
Yes, that's our bread and butter, not a ton of analysis.
It requires a lot more nonsense, but not a lot of analysis. But Dave, really, you look at the 3 games that the Dallas Stars have won here, and their best players have stepped up at the most important times in a more significant way than the Jets' best players have.
Yeah, I mean that's the bottom line. That's what we talk about. And we look. Again, just to reiterate it before the Dallas folks come on and start making up things, we've been talking about how the depth of the Dallas forward group was actually deeper than the Jets and had more offensive ability. We said the Jets defense is probably better. And we said coming into the series, we thought the Jets goaltending was a slight edge, but not a significant edge, but a slight edge in that regard. But I mean, nobody's surprised with, the talent of Dallas, and they decided to go 11-7 tonight because of course they got Miro Heiskanen back playing his first game after being out with a lower body injury, I believe, since January 28th or something of that nature. So late January, whatever it was. So they get a bit of a boost there. He didn't play a ton of minutes, at least to start the game, because of the fact that I think they were just trying. They went 11-7, so they could kind of get him in when they needed to. But the bottom line is that the Jets had some chances. They couldn't bury them. The special teams weren't good. And that's the story. And Connor Hellebuyck wasn't able to save their bacon when they didn't have it going on the special teams. And as he talks about Connor Hellebuyck looking comfortable, to me, that third goal was the one that made him look. He makes, Sagan puts it off the crossbar. It pops out. Heiskanen gets it, puts it over to Granlund, sorry, and Granlund fires it over. And I don't care that he scored on it, but just the way Hellebuyck didn't even seem to know where he was. Did you see the way he kind of reacted after the fact? It was almost like his shoulder hit the crossbar, and he just looked out of sorts, like he didn't know where it was, where his post was. It was just an unusual play, and I understand he's trying to get across to make a save, but it just wasn't smooth. And we're used to him playing a certain way, as we talked about with Jesse Granger on the Saturday show a few weeks back. So, maybe he needs to clear the cache of the microprocessor, boys. Maybe it's had a few too many games on it this season. And that's a story for the offseason, of course, because right now you have to deal with the present reality. But, okay, we got another screen opening up. Here's Scott Arniel.
You can finish your thought if you want, and then I'll bring in Arniel.
No, I mean, it's nothing. I just think that's the bottom line, is that the Stars scored when they had their opportunities. and that the Jets had their opportunities, unable to score. And again, special teams, 2 power play goals for the Stars, 2 power play goals against for the Jets. That's the difference in tonight's hockey game.
Here's what Jets head coach Scott Arniel had to say after the game. This again, courtesy of the Winnipeg Jets social media team.
Scott, do you speak to the guys after a game with this kind of stakes? And if so, what's the message tonight?
And we always talk, obviously. Again, I thought we played a good hockey game. We had 70 shot attempts and scored 1 goal. We're not going to, if we can't find more than 1 goal, we're not going to win hockey games, especially against this hockey team. So I liked a lot of what we did 5-on-5. I liked a lot of the opportunities that we created. I loved our first period. We got off to a great start, had them hemmed in, had some great looks. Ottinger made some big stops. But like I said, we had 70 shot attempts. We got to get more than that, more than 1 goal off of those. Maybe that's, driving hard to the net, finding those rebounds, screening, whatever it is. We've done it. We've done it in the past. We got to find a way to do it next game.
What did you think the line blending that you did going into the
Thought
game?
It was great. Worked out good. They matched up well. All the lines had zone time. They all did a great job in the sense of, it was different because, Dallas went 11-7. So kind of knew what the change was going to be for them. And just for us, I thought all our combinations had a lot of opportunities. We just didn't put the puck in the net. And that's at the bottom line. This time of year, you got to find a way to score goals. They're not going to be pretty. They're probably going to have to be ugly ones. And we're going to have to find a way to do that. Like I said, you put up 70 attempts there. You got to get rewarded, but that means you got to work a little bit harder if it's not going in.
Obviously, the Connor Hellebuyck's been a story, but how would you assess his performance tonight, Scott?
Obviously, he probably wants the one back in the first one, the wrister coming in. Man, the one on, that 3 seconds left on that forward, it was an unbelievable kill by us. Gives that shot. I mean, it's a CNI dog. That's a heck of a shot. I mean, it right under the bar from the short side. But at the end of the day, we got to get him some run support. He'll do his job. We got to get him some run support. We got to get him a lead. We got to get out in front, make this team chase us instead of us chasing them like we have in the last couple of games.
And just when a team's down 3-1, what has to be the message? I guess not look at the big picture. You can't win 3 games all at once, right?
Don't lose your last game. Real simple. Don't lose your last game. So it's all about what's happened at home. Get our crowd in behind us. I don't care if we're homers, but we're going to have to go home and win the next one so we come back here. So we got to get the job done. Focus in on this next game, game 5. That's what it's all about. Work to make sure that we get ourselves back here to Dallas for game 6.
I just wanted to ask about the sequence from Hayden Fleury's penalty through to that goal too, because it's a follow through on a pass.
Yeah, no, he never had the puck. The puck was on. What was it? Hence's stick. It was on his stick, and he swiped at it. He went to swipe it, and he didn't have the puck, and so it rode right up and hit him in the mouth. It was the right call.
And then on Kyle Connor's breakaway, just you couldn't script that better. Kyle Connor on his stick, right? That's the guy you want.
That's the guy, and especially you look at over the course of the season against Dallas, KC scored a lot of goals. That was a big moment. Even before they scored their second one, we had a couple of great looks just before they got their second goal. We had them hemmed in, and I think it was KC again. There's a couple of guys that had some really good looks. Just got to find a way to bury those. Thank you.
There goes Jets head coach Scott Arniel meeting with the media in Dallas tonight. Courtesy of the Jets social media team. Thanks for them for putting that.
I think the Jets
online.
had 70 shot attempts tonight, guys.
Not sure. Scott Arniel sort of alluded to it a little bit, but again, that's probably the message from the coach to the team is that you did so much good. It's just the small things that you didn't do well enough. It's the turning those shots into goals or into even more scoring chances and making life more difficult on Jake Ottinger. And at the same time, you kill 3 minutes and 57 seconds of a 4-minute power play that Dallas had. But the last 3 seconds are what kills you in that they get a goal. And I mean, that certainly was an absolute backbreaker from the perspective of the Winnipeg Jets. They have to find a way to even elevate their game more now. You know, you're down 3-1, so there's nothing to play for. There's no tomorrow. You know, if you don't win game 5 and if you don't win game 6, you know, you want to get it to that one game and then, you know, let the chips fall where they may at that point in time. But right now, the Winnipeg Jets just have to find a way for all of their players, 1 through 12, 1 through 6 on the back end, and goaltender Connor Hellebuyck, to just find a way to be that much better than the Dallas Stars' best players. And that's really that simple, because right now, that's the difference in this series, I would argue.
You're one loss away, I should say, from your season being over, right? So it's a cliche, and Scott Arniel said it, but you know, you need one win here. You need one game to send it back to Dallas. And I think you are grasping onto that, Drew. You are grasping onto the fact that, you know, you badly outchanced Dallas for big parts of this game, especially the first period. We talked about that. The Jets had a lot of grade A chances. The third period, I mean, if the Jets score one and, you know, get it to one goal, then all of a sudden all of those good feelings from the Cole Perfetti tying goal come back from the first round, right? Sure. So it's not going to be an easy task here. I mean, it's a tall mountain to climb to come back and beat the Dallas Stars 3 games in a row. But I mean, again, you just got to start off with one game here, and hopefully, you know, the Jets will be able to extend the series. But you know, tonight's game was huge. It was an absolutely must-win game for the Jets. And again, you know, we'll see what happens. But it's you know, there's a lot to be I think hopeful about, because the Jets had all of these great chances, but at the end of the day, you only have one win to show for it. So in that sense, it's very demoralizing, but we'll see.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because the Jets will have the positive feeling, at least, of having had a good last game at home. And so they'll be able to try and draw on that at least, and know that they overall played a relatively decent game, and they just have to score. And maybe, look, if they have to outscore their problems, they have to outscore their problems. But I don't disagree with Scott Arniel. I mean, they've, aside from game 2, they haven't led in this series. Yeah. They've given up the first goal, and it's often early, often on the first shot. And you can say that's Connor Hellebuyck, which it is for sure. It's also the team, though, right? I mean, again, where is the team that didn't allow more than 200 goals in the regular season? I get the regular season is done and over with. My point is, you were considered the best defensive team in the NHL. How many times did we hear that? And it was true. Again, you don't put up the numbers they do by accident. And I know people like, who cares? Who cares? Well, you kind of have to care. I mean, you pay money to go watch those like, if you only care about playoffs, then why do you pay money to go to the regular season games? So it does matter. And it does matter because you're supposed to be able to rely on what it is that got you to this point. So look, the Jets have to win game 5. They can't worry about games 6 and 7. They can't worry about, you know, the weight of history being against them. All they can do is look at what they did wrong in game 4, which they'll do tonight and into tomorrow. And I don't know their schedule. I haven't looked at the group chat to see if the media schedule is out yet, but they'll either hold a practice or a media availability tomorrow. But ultimately, at the same time, like I said, this is a team that's going to have to try and say, listen, we need to harness what we did right in game 2 and how we got to that 4-0 win, and see if we can do that again in game 5. And then you can worry about game 6 and 7.
Interesting to note, courtesy of our friend Joe Pascucci, anytime the Jets have been trailing in a series and have had game 6 at home. No, this couldn't be right. Sorry. Anytime the Jets have been facing elimination at home.
Yeah.
You know, they have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 straight games when facing elimination on home ice. That's going back to the Winnipeg Jets 1.0, of course.
Is that good?
It's not good. So every time the Jets have been facing elimination on home ice, they have ended up losing on home ice. So the Jets will, of course, hope to change that come Thursday night in downtown Winnipeg. Again, reminder about Thursday, the Illegal Curve pregame show will be on air at 6:30 p.m. We'll be live at City Place on the second floor in the food court. So join us 6:30 p.m. on Thursday. Game time on Thursday is a late one. 8:45. So, back to the wee hours of the night for the Illegal Curve post-game show. But that is your plan. That is the schedule for Thursday night as it pertains to the Illegal Curve pre-game show and the Illegal Curve post-game show. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. It's brought to you by our friends at Play Now.
The Play Now game recap.
Thank you to Play Now for their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey and the Illegal Curve post-game show. Don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead. Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Yes, Play Now. They've been with us all season long, and we thank them very much for their support. The Winnipeg Jets started off the game right, as we've talked about. Multiple chances early on, all of which were denied by Jake Ottinger. The good chance for Velarde after Connor and Scheifele forced the turnover. I think it was by Heiskanen, if I'm not mistaken. Early in the first period, Ottinger made a glove save off of Velarde. Multiple chances for the Winnipeg Jets, but Dallas ends up taking the lead. The early goal, it's a 1-0 power play goal. Mikael Granlund, his second of the playoffs. You're going to be hearing his name a bunch tonight. Thomas Harley, Jason Robertson on the assist. It comes at the 8:36 mark. Dylan DeMello's in the box for holding the stick. Undisciplined neutral zone penalty by the veteran Jets defenseman, who certainly should know better than to do what he did in this instance. And then Granlund is able just to walk right in through the blue line. Brandon Tanev just does an absolute flyby of a forecheck attempt in the neutral zone. I don't know what he was attempting, but Granlund gains the blue line. He's at the top of the circles between the face-off dots, and he fires it past Connor Hellebuyck through the screen of, I believe, Neil Pionk. It's a goal that Hellebuyck has to save, but it's also just undisciplined defensive zone coverage, starting with Brandon Tanev and his decision to do whatever he was doing in the neutral zone, allowing Granlund to gain the blue line as he.
Yeah, I think what he was trying to do was line him up for a hit, and I think he quickly realized that was not going to work out because it was Iafallo that went off and Brandon Tanev came on. But regardless, I mean, Granlund goes through Tanev way too easily, and like you said, gets into the Jet zone way too easily. And I don't know if Hellebuyck didn't think that Granlund was going to shoot, if he wasn't set properly. I mean, that's from what, guys, 30 feet? 35 feet, like that's a long wrist shot.
Well, that's the number. I mean, I saw the Sportsnet stats put this out. Let me just find it. In these playoffs, hang on a second.
I think it's 11 times.
Yeah. So in these playoffs, let me just find it here somewhere. Here it is. No, yes. Connor Hellebuyck has allowed 11 goals this playoffs from 30 plus feet out.
That's insane.
I mean, that's far, far, far too many goals. And you just can't allow goal. The playoffs are supposed to be you're only able to score when it deflects off of 3 butts and 4 arms, and you score from right outside the blue paint. You shouldn't be allowing long goals come playoff time, and that has been Connor Hellebuyck's bugaboo this entire playoffs, and it started certainly with the 1-0 goal here tonight. I think I saw something where Hellebuyck thought that that Granlund's stick may be deflected. Here, courtesy John Liu. Connor Hellebuyck on Mikael Granlund's first goal said he thought the shooter's stick, so Granlund's stick, hit Neil Pionk's shin pad during the release, but the shot was clean enough for him to stop it. He added he needed to review the video to be sure. So Hellebuyck thinks that his viewpoint might have been impacted by Granlund's follow through hitting Neil Pionk's shin pad, but nonetheless, it's a save you have to make. And Dallas has the 1-0 lead as a result.
Shouldn't he have been looking at the puck?
I mean, I get it. You shoot, and the follow through of the stick can maybe play with your eyes a little bit, but from that far away, you just can't get scored on in that instance.
No, I mean, there's two things here. First of all, Dylan DeMello can't take that penalty. He just can't.
Question.
You just can't. I mean, this game is all about playing as clean a game as you possibly can. Again, the refs are going to call some things. They're not going to call other things because they're special. But the fact of the matter is that you just can't afford to give them especially when your PK is not particularly firing on all cylinders. Again, I said this, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the truth is that when the PK is firing, fine. You want to take a risk, then that all the power to you, but you can't, you just can't do it. And so you take that penalty early in a game that's, critical for you to win and you have a good start. And then you kill your momentum by taking an unnecessary penalty. And yeah, I mean, look, there's no excuse for that. I mean, Scott Arniel, who's not one to criticize his goaltending, basically said, what did he say? Helly would want that one back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question that he'd want it back. But as he's 100% right, like we can't forget about the fact that Brandon Tanev, what the hell did he do? And I get that the line change, I understand that it was a late line change and he's coming on, but do something. Don't just let him fly past you in the neutral zone. I mean, half the things we've talked about or we've heard is, these guys, and you watch them, what they do to the Jets, how they impede them so they don't have straight lines, how they don't have, you don't give them a bump in the neutral zone to, take away some of their speed. I mean, Tanev just completely misses. And you were brought in.
You have to funnel Granlund either left or right in this one. You can't let him go straight downhill.
No, of course not. That's my whole point, is that you had to do something. And he did absolutely nothing. In fact, I'd say he aided them because, instead of being a body against, like I said, I do not think Connor Hellebuyck should have let this goal in. So let me be clear. I'm not letting Connor Hellebuyck off the hook, but I also want to acknowledge the fact that Brandon Tanev played this very poorly and the Jets should have been in a better position. But again, a guy who was brought in specifically because of his quote PK abilities. And I understand it was a late line change, but I just don't like the way he played that.
Yeah, I mean, the line change was yes, it may have been a bit of a late line change, but it was not an unusually bizarre penalty killing line change. It was pretty, standard for when it comes to the penalty kill here. I just think he tried to play a little bit of hero ball here. That he just decided he wanted to do something one-on-one individually that was outside the structure of what the PK is supposed to look like. With all due respect to Brandon Tanev, he's been bad in the playoffs.
Yeah,
the Winnipeg Jets. I mean,
he looked like Wile E. Coyote running over the mountains and kind of realizing like, oh, I've run out of mountain, and then he just drops.
Kevin Cheveldayoff was lauded for the acquisitions, but let's not sugarcoat anything. That Luke Shen and Brandon Tanev have not been worth the price of the acquisition.
Maybe they could have gotten Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the others.
I was going to say, at the time, I thought those were good moves, and Drew didn't like them. I'm just going to say
I still don't. I mean, look.
You still don't like them. Hat-trick's not good enough for you, Drew.
I don't love Mikael Granlund as a player, but he was very good tonight for the Dallas Stars.
It's 65 points this year.
I don't dispute that, but I usually find that his contributions he's a good player typically on a bad team. Tonight, he was great for the Dallas Stars. I'm not taking anything away.
I'm just bugging you, Drew.
I know. But typically, he's not the kind of guy. I don't think of him typically as the kind of guy that you acquire who's going to be a winner for you. Because in his career, he hasn't been on that many teams that have been significant winners. Good for him tonight, and prove me wrong all you want. But at the time, I didn't love the price Dallas paid. That's all I was saying.
Fair enough. I think Mikael Granlund is just a great example of how many good forwards this team has, right? Like, obviously, Mikko Rantanen is the best forward on the team, and then you think of Jason Robertson and Matt Duchene, Wyatt Johnston, Rupe Hintz, and then you just go down the lineup, and then you've got Mikael Granlund and Mason Marchment and Evgeny Davidov, and I think I haven't even mentioned Tyler Seguin. Right? Like, that's the thing, guys. Like, you can't forget that, this was the second round matchup that we were predicting before the season even started, right? Like, it was Dallas that we thought, I mean, Colorado is obviously, up there as well. But, the Jets are losing to a really good team, and they outplayed this team tonight. So, like, hockey's like that sometimes. I mean, like, we talked about how we've watched thousands of games in our lifetimes, guys. Like, sometimes the best team doesn't win if the other goalie is that good. And Ottinger was that good. Like, Ottinger gets an A++ tonight, the way he played, right? Like, how many times have we seen Hellebuyck do that to other teams? Well, Ottinger did it to the Jets tonight.
No question. First period comes to end with Dallas leading 1-0. The Jets get their first power play opportunity of the game late in that first period as Tyler Seguin goes off for a holding penalty against, if I recall correctly, Dylan Sandberg. It was an offensive zone holding penalty that Tyler Seguin takes. The Jets start the second period with a power play, and it's not a power play goal for Nikolai Ehlers at the 1:02 mark of the second period, but it is a tying goal just after the power play had expired. Important goal for the Jets. They keep the puck in with a strong board battle. The puck moves around Morrissey to Connor down low to Ehlers, and Ehlers finds Jake Ottinger cheating just a little bit off the post, and he puts it on net, and he beats the Stars goaltender to tie the game up at 1 goal apiece. It is our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
I'm watching Ottinger's reaction again on the goal. You can see he's frustrated with himself because he's thinking pass. He's thinking that Ehlers is going backdoor to Scheifele, and so Ottinger cheats a little bit, and then Ehlers is able to get it through him as a result. Look, it's not the prettiest goal, but it's pretty from the Winnipeg Jets perspective. It's well earned because they win the board battle that leads to the goal. They keep the puck in when they were still on the power play there, and it's 1-1 early in the second period. An important goal for the Jets because, frankly, they deserve to at least be equal at this point in the game.
Well, and also it's early in the second period. That's critical because you felt good about yourselves for the most part after that first period, and you thought to yourself, okay, fine. The carryover power play, which we know is sometimes difficult with being able to carry it over, right? It was about a minute split or roughly that between the first period and the second period. And you're right, Drew. I mean, this is one of the things we're talking about. You got to play hard, and they're playing hard along the wall in this instance, and they keep that puck in. And credit Nikolai Ehlers. It was a deceptive play by him. He's feinting like he's looking for Scheifele. And he shoots that one on net, and it finds a 5-hole on Jake Ottinger, who, like you said, would want it back. But Ottinger knows it. I think it was Granlund, right, who was standing there covering Scheifele. I could be wrong, but
yeah, it was Granlund.
Yeah, so I mean, Scheifele, if he gets it to him backdoor, he probably has a good chance. But it's not going to be an easy one. But again, that's what the Jets need to do, is to be a little bit deceptive, not be sort of do what they are expected to do, right, Ezzy? And in this instance, they score a goal early in the second, and you think to yourself, okay, they're now tied, they're back up, or they're back even, I should say. Here's an opportunity for them to build on the momentum and feel good about themselves early in a period.
You know what I love kind of the most about this goal is this is not the beautiful tic-tac-toe power play goal that we're used to seeing from the Jets. Like, the Jets know that they've been struggling on the power play, and Kyle Connor just hustles and beats Sam Steele to the puck, and then Ehlers is there to support Kyle Connor, right? So I just like the hustle on this power play goal. And
well, I think one of the big stories in the series, one of the big stories in this series, I think, is the Jets' inability to adjust to the Dallas Stars penalty killing approach. I think the Jets have had trouble adjusting to Dallas's penalty kill and haven't been able to take advantage on the power play. You talk about, this being just after the power play goal. So what do? You simplify things. You just put pucks on net. And this one was just a puck thrown at the net. They got a good, worked out well. Again, not officially a power play goal, but that certainly to me is one of the stories of this series, is that Dallas PK has given the Jets fits, and has been a function as to why the Jets have struggled on the power play.
For sure. 1 goal in 4 games. We talked about it. That's not going to cut it this time of the year, right? Dallas's power play, I believe, is second best in the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it's first after the 2 goals, but I think it's second. And, so that's huge that the Jets were able to, let's call it a almost power play goal by Ehlers, right? But like Dave said, it was a huge goal at that point in the game because you had more of the grade A chances in the first period and you had nothing to show for it. And Nikolai Ehlers' goal scoring struggles in the playoffs have been well documented. So it's a big goal for him. Unfortunately, the Jets weren't able to bury any after that.
They certainly weren't. Dallas makes it 2-1 at the 17:52 mark of the second period. Again, the sequence of events, and Gary Galley, who a lot of people get criticized for, he called this one dead on. He said, watch that save by Jake Ottinger, the one that he made off of Kyle Connor in tight after the Alex Iafallo rush sets Connor up right on the doorstep. That's a goal that Kyle Connor needs to find a way to have. He needs to find a way, because if that goal is scored, the 30 seconds before this one is, the Jets probably have a 2-1 lead after 20 minutes instead of trailing 2-1. After 40 minutes, instead of the Jets trailing 2-1 after 40 minutes. It's just, Connor, great save by Ottinger, and then Nino Niederreiter fails to get the puck deep enough. He turns it over just inside the Dallas Stars blue line, and as quickly as he turns it over, Neil Pionk is pinching on this play. So Niederreiter's there doing the good job covering, but he's just too soft with his play. It's just a soft return onto the stick of Mikko Rantanen, who headmans it up to Mikael Granlund, and it's a 2-on-1 between Granlund and Rupe Hintz. Dylan Samberg is the defender that's coming back. Samberg focuses on the pass, but Granlund says, thank you very much, and he absolutely wires a shot past Connor Hellebuyck, an exceptional shot, top shelf by Mikael Granlund. It just goes to show you that one soft, small play that didn't seem like it was going to be a big difference ends up being a massive difference and ends up being the game-winning goal for the Dallas Stars tonight, Dave.
Yeah, and there's a number of people that deserve some notice on this one. I mean, first of all, Neil Pionk, if you're going to make that pinch, then you gotta do something with Rantanen in there. You can't afford to let him go. Again, I don't like the play by Nino Niederreiter. He needlessly, I mean, again, if you're ready to make that change, get that puck in deep.
Right.
Like, again, like I said, I'm not one to give up possession easily. I think the Jets do sometimes a little too soon. I think I'd rather see them cycle it back and let their guys change and then attack again. But if you're going to do it, you got to get it in deep. You just can't afford to do it shallow the way he did. It makes no sense. And
Rantanen does a good job bodying Neil Pionk, boxing him out.
I mean, Rantanen's
allowing him to make this play.
Yeah, Rantanen's done a good job. He could just ended it there, Drew. I mean, he's done a good job all series long, with 2 series now. But look, at the end of the day, it's just a mistake. And it's another mistake that this team makes. And I don't have a problem with the way Samberg plays it, because he tries to take away the passing option and leaving Connor Hellebuyck the shooter. But the book is out on Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, it's where they've gone primarily throughout the course of these playoffs, right? Is they've shot top corner on Connor Hellebuyck. And I'm certainly not a goalie expert, but I will say he didn't look big on this play. He kind of just the way he played it at the angle, I just thought it was a little bit off. And also, we got to credit Mikael Granlund, because it's a hell of a good shot.
Right.
And we saw,
and two things can be true there, right, Dave? Like, it can be an amazing shot, and Hellebuyck could not look like himself.
That's right. Exactly. So I mean,
or he could look like he's not set or challenging the puck the way he normally does, right?
But of all the goals, like, this one is the one that, like, it's again, his team put him in a bad position, and unfortunately for them, again, it's the timing of it all. If you give this one up 5 minutes after the Jets had tied the game, okay, less than ideal, but you've got more than half of the period to try and equalize the game. Instead, what you end up doing is you now give up a goal late in that second period, and you have to go into the third with that weight, saying, man, we got to now tie it up. Like, we can't think about a win, which is what we have to do in this game. We just have to think about trying to get to the tie. And so you just put yourself, again, one of the things we said, Drew, you said it, I said it, as you said it, everyone in the chat said it. By the way, smash that like button, folks. Make sure you're subscribing. But one of the things that we knew that the team had to do was have those details right. Yeah. Niederreiter makes a mistake, and that mistake ends up in the back of their net.
It does, and it's 2-1 after 40 minutes. Dallas Stars leading. The Jets then run into penalty trouble 3 minutes and 26 seconds into the third period. It's obviously not a purposeful penalty. Hayden Fleury is just trying to make a play. It's unfortunate that his stick rides up the stick of the Dallas Stars player. In this case, it's Rupe Hintz. Catches him right in the face. It's a double minor, and the Jets really do a great job It's one of the best penalty killing sequences of the playoffs for the Winnipeg Jets for 3 minutes and 57 seconds. Frankly, they had the better of the opportunities. They could have scored to tie the game shorthanded. Kyle Connor comes in all alone. Backhand, but a save by Jake Ottinger. Again, another time when a golden goal opportunity, not a golden goal in the Olympic sense of the word, but just would have been a crucial time for the Jets to score a goal, is on their stick in a prime scoring opportunity, and Jake Ottinger is better than Kyle Connor.
Could have said, by the way, that there was a slash on Connor's hands there.
There was a slash there that went uncalled.
Yeah, I mean,
again,
like not to complain about the officiating as if somehow that was the reason, but I mean, Connor's in on it.
Yes.
It's a pretty clear slash. You're watching him and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, he doesn't score, but they're going to call the penalty,
right?
And yet no penalty is called. So again, the reffing is its usual consistent self.
Yeah, that was a missed one. I agree with you there, Dave, that there was a slash. Again, we're not saying that was the difference in the game, but there was definitely enough of an impediment there that it would have
right on the hands too. It's not like they got him on the leg; he got him on the hands. So I mean, to me, it's a penalty. But again,
I agree with you. But no call is made. Dallas moves it back up the ice. Matt Duchene hits the crossbar. The puck bounces right back out to Miro Heiskanen. Heiskanen feeds it over to Granlund. Granlund is in a shooter's position, and he's clearly feeling it tonight, and he wires the pass from Heiskanen past Connor Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck moving from his right to his left, from the top of the crease to the left, but he can't get over quite in time. Another great shot by Mikael Granlund. Truthfully, either of his two shots, not the first one so much, but either the second or the third goal should have been our Seagram shot of the game tonight. But a tremendous shot by Mikael Granlund, and with 12 and a half minutes to go in the game, it's a 3-1 lead for the Dallas Stars.
Drew, you mentioned Matt Duchene's shot goes to Heiskanen. It really was the most fortuitous bounce you could possibly get. It literally bounced right in front of him. And I think watching it live and just watching it on the replay, it seemed like to me that Hellebuyck kind of thought that Heiskanen was going to shoot it because there was traffic in front. It was just awkward how Hellebuyck, like you said, the way he was moving right to left. And again, Granlund's a good shooter. He's got a good shot. But, just unfortunate because as you guys touched on, the Jets were very close to killing off that penalty. And, some people in the chat are saying, well, it's not a good penalty kill. They allowed a goal. Well, in a 4-minute power play, I think, it's worth mentioning that they were very close to, it was a critical juncture of the game. And, for the Jets who have struggled to kill penalties in this series, I think it was important to point that out. And it's really unfortunate that, they weren't able to get out of that and, climb back because, a 2-goal lead at that point in the game, a 2-goal deficit for the Jets, I should say, is tough to come back from.
Well, it's the story of the game, though, isn't it? That the Jets did a lot good, but they didn't do quite enough.
Well, it's like the old saying. That's why I said, Drew, they played almost well enough just to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's a reason why that saying exists, right? And, it ultimately comes back to special teams, and Jake Ottinger was better than Connor Hellebuyck. That's kind of the synopsis of tonight's game.
Yeah. That's how we started this show, Ezzy, and it's how we've got it written in the game recap, and that is going to be, and even in the in the preview of this show, is that's going to be the difference. And here's another instance where, you have a play along the wall. Brandon Tanev can make a play on a puck. Look, I'm not putting all this on Brandon Tanev's shoulders. I just thought, here's another example of an opportunity to clear a puck. He doesn't know where it is, and he can't get it out. And so, it's unfortunate because you clear it and you're still in a deficit, but, we'll see. I mean, it's a lot different being down 2-1 than it is to be 3-1. You've just killed a 4-minute power play. So you maybe get a big, as we talk about the whole power kill, right, boys? And you can get a boost from that. They don't. And they, push for the equal, or not the equalizer. They push to make it a 1-goal deficit. I thought they were even a little laissez-faire here, to be honest with you. I mean, you've got the time's winding down on the clock, and you're cycling the puck around. Well, guess what? You're down by 2 goals. It's one thing if you're looking for the Cole Perfetti 1.6.
Right.
You know, even Drew, just to give yourself a little momentum to head into the next game.
Sure.
And I just didn't think that the Jets
they were throwing everything they could at the net. I mean, they were trying to,
I'm just saying in the last.
I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. After Duchesne scores, I have, Jake Ottinger's save off of Josh Morrissey, Jake Ottinger's save off of Morgan Barron, Jake Ottinger's save off of Mark Scheifele.
I too have NHL.com.
Well, I know, but I have Connor Hellebuyck making actually a couple of saves. He made that 3-on-1 save, and then he made that save off of Rupe Hintz on the 2-on-1. So Hellebuyck made a couple saves, towards the end of the game.
We didn't even talk about the 4-on-1 that didn't end up in a scoring chance.
But again, that's the fourth line.
That was the first period.
Yeah,
it was a terrible pass by Morgan Barron. Mason Appleton handled it like it was a grenade. But that's my point, though, is that they just looked discombobulated. It was very bizarre from that line all night long. And again, I know they haven't obviously played together, but yeah, I'm not entirely certain. It just didn't have it going on.
Look, Dallas's best players were better than the Jets' best players. Dallas's depth has been better than Winnipeg's depth. That's why Dallas's goaltender has been better than the Jets' goaltender. Dallas's special teams has been better than the Jets' special teams. That's why they lead the series 3-1. It hasn't been a huge margin of better, but it's been better. And that's all it takes come playoff time is just the small margin, the 10% better, 15% better, whatever the percentage is the difference between winning and losing come playoff time.
What are all these people going to do who are jumping off the boat when the Jets come back and win in Game 7? Where are they going to be? We're going to have all your comments saved, folks.
Dave takes receipts, everybody.
We
Dave
do take
keeps
receipts. We do. We absolutely do.
We'll
Including
come back.
as he's pretty well. I'll talk about that later.
We'll come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show. More on the Jets and the Dallas Stars. We'll look ahead briefly to Thursday night's game on home ice, where the Jets will look to extend this series back to Dallas on Saturday. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. Smash the like button, subscribe to the podcast, and turn your notifications on, because there's more Illegal Curve coming your way after these commercial messages.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in 2 unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Shortly before 11 o'clock, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg. Isn't this a nice time, though? You know, it's only 5 minutes to 11. It feels normal. I like this. It's not, it's not 6 o'clock on Mother's Day. It's not 3 in the morning like some of the other games. It's actually a very normal, appreciated time. I can still get my beauty sleep without having to be too much of a zombie the next day. Speaking of the next day, if you're looking for something to do tomorrow or this weekend, Brian Kiley is at Rumors. Brian Kiley, for the last 27 years, has been a writer for Conan O'Brien. So if you're a fan of Conan O'Brien and any of the work that Conan has done over the past, 2.5+ decades, come to Rumors this weekend and check out Brian Kiley. Tickets available, a few tickets available, I should add, rumorscomedyclub.com. Lord knows you're not going camping this weekend with the upcoming weather report. And along those lines, if you or your loved ones or anybody you know are anywhere near the areas that are being impacted by the wildfires, Eastern Manitoba, Eastman on the Manitoba-Ontario border over there, our thoughts are with you. We're wishing you well. We want some rain to come so that those fires don't do any more damage, affecting obviously off of the Gun Road here in Winnipeg a couple days ago. So, for everybody around the province of Manitoba, please be safe and don't be doing anything that's going to impact the firefighting efforts that are occurring throughout our province, given how dry it is and how absurdly hot it has been for the last couple of days. Game 5 on Thursday night between the Jets and the Dallas Stars. Steven donates us some money, and in doing so...
but he's saying that he'll donate $100 to the IC charity of our choice, Ezzy, if the Jets win this series. Does Ezzy count as a charity, though?
He's a charity case. I'm not sure if he counts as a registered charity.
Guys, the Ginsburg Fund does great work.
It does.
For 16 years, the Ginsburg Fund has made children's wishes come true. So we appreciate
just for the record, the children are you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I do have children, so
I know. Are they making your children's wishes come true, or are they making your wishes come true?
There's no Ginsburg Fund, but Steven is a loyal IC viewer/listener, and that's awesome. Good on Steven for stepping up. Hopefully the Jets come back, and then a charity of our choice is going to get $100.
There you go. Steven, again, as Dave keeps receipts. So he's going to be looking forward to keeping that receipt.
Like physical receipts. Like Dave has a shoebox full of physical receipts.
A wallet this thick.
His taxes are a disaster, though, folks. He has no clue what he's doing with his taxes.
You guys remember what was the piece of paper? What was on the piece of paper that was the final thing that exploded George's wallet?
Oh, wasn't it guitar lessons or something?
Yeah.
Yes. Good memory, Drew.
Thank you. Ezzy, I don't know my kids' birthdays, but when it comes to random Seinfeld trivia, I'm your guy. Game 5. What's the message from Scott Arniel to the Winnipeg Jets? Is it play
don't lose.
You played, but you have to find a way to make life more difficult for Ottinger? Is that the message? I mean, is it take a lot of this game, recreate it, and just but get those opportunities and capitalize on them?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that, I earlier some of the comments, and we try and highlight a bunch of them if we can, but I saw some of the comments that a lot of the folks said, yeah, the Jets had won the analytics battle, but a lot of the shots hit Jake Ottinger right in the crest, and he made some very nice saves, no question about it, but the Jets didn't make his life hard enough. So they had the opportunities, but there were some instances where taking away his eyes could have helped them. So yes, I think they need to keep doing this. I mean, puck possession is key, but yes, increasing the level of difficulty for Jake Ottinger, who right now is feeling good about himself. So what you need to do is you need to make him feel a little bit, and be critical. Start on time and play a clean game. Again, is it inevitable you're going to take a penalty? Absolutely. But you got to ensure that you are clean to the point of scout levels of clean in that first 10, 15 minutes, because the last thing you can afford is to is not have that momentum. And, again, it may be a little tight for the Jets to start that game, but they absolutely need to have a clean start, similar to what we saw in game 2. So if they can do that and get rolling, it'll go a long way to kind of giving them some momentum. Again, like as he always says, you can't worry about what, the totality of that series. You just got to focus on that one game. So right now, in fact, the Jets can't even focus about the game right now, boys. They can only focus on the first period and keep it kind of limited in that regard. They've done a good job of doing that. They've won 3 in a row this season. They're going to have to win on the road, something they have. Well, they're going to have to win at home before they win on the road. And again, like I said, I think it's possible that they can win the game on home ice on Thursday night. Not only do I think that, but so far we've only started the poll, and 65% of you, and there's quite a few of you in the chat, believe that the Jets will win Game 5.
Well, the confidence is still strong, at least among all those who are watching tonight on the Illegal Curve post-game show. I want to make mention quickly, though. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, once the Jets lose, the Illegal Curve is done broadcasting. That's not the case, folks.
Who's saying that?
I saw somebody say that. I had to correct them. The Saturday morning show continues unabated all the way through middle of July. So we're not going anywhere just yet. So don't worry about it. Even if the Jets, if the Jets depart the playoffs, on Thursday or on Saturday or on a Game 7, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show on Saturday mornings is still going to go strong all the way through the hot days of mid-July. So don't be,
Are we doing World Championship post-game shows?
We're not doing World Hockey Championship.
Should we do OHL post-game shows and break down London and Oshawa?
Yeah, as you'll be right there with you. I can guarantee you that. Looks like Professor Hellebuyck is also throwing up $100 to the Illegal Curve charity of the choice if the Jets win in 7. Wow. So there you go. People are putting their money where their mouth is. So now the Jets just need to live up to their end of the bargain. Ezzy, looks like if the Jets win, you're going to be $200 wealthier.
Yeah,
for the record, folks, even though we're joking, we will find a charity to donate that money.
That was a joke. Just in case anybody wasn't clear on that, we're not giving it to my fake charity here. We're going to give it to a deserving charity, and there's lots of them here in Manitoba. So we appreciate Andrew Hellebuyck, Professor Hellebuyck, as you said, Drew,
the CEO of Tetra Tech, stepping
Absolutely.
up. I assume he's also pledging on behalf of all of his employees. Given that he's the CEO of Tetra Tech.
That's going to go to the Tetra Tech Foundation. But no, I mean, look at. Dave makes a lot of good points. Look, I think you have to start with the Jets have been lights out at home, and you have to also be, feeling really good about the way you played despite losing. And I know that there's no moral victories at this point in the year, but you just got to win Game 5. Or like Dave said, you can't lose. You can't lose this game. So, teams have come back from down 3 games to 1. It doesn't happen a lot. But this Jets team, I think, is good enough, and they're healthy enough, and we'll see what happens. But it's definitely not going to be an easy hill to climb here.
Speaking of not easy hill to climb, Drew.
Oh boy!
And since I already mentioned Oshawa and London,
go ahead.
Colby Barlow, the Jets 2023 first rounder, and his Oshawa Generals boys will not have an easy hill to climb because they are down to Jacob Julian, the 2023 fifth rounder, and his gargantuan juggernaut London Knights, who are now up 3-1. They won 6-2 tonight in their Game 4. So the London Knights are on the edge of winning the OHL Championship Series, which is no surprise considering they have one loss in the playoffs, which was Game 1 against Oshawa. They've won now the last 3. So Jacob Julian on the precipice of winning the OHL Championship Series and heading off to the Memorial Cup with the London Knights. So there's your update. And I'm pretty sure our friend Joe from Winnipeg, I haven't had a chance to check, said something happened with
Norfolk lost.
So are they out?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea what they got knocked out by a score of 6-3. It looks like, says Joe from Winnipeg.
Yeah. Norfolk is done. So Thomas Milic and Dom DiVincentis, the Jets goalie prospects, their season appears to have come to an end as well. So we'll have some prospects. Ezzy, we'll switch this to a Memorial Cup show.
Dave is going to do that on his own. Ezzy and I are going to spend quality times with our family. But before that, we have, of course, Thursday's Game 5 between the Jets and the Dallas Stars. Again, pregame show, 6:30 p.m., City Place. Also live on our social media platforms. So if you're in the downtown area, if you're going to the game, if you're going to the street party, be sure you come by and say hi to us at City Place. We look forward to being there on Thursday night. And that, of course, will also be live, as I said, on our social media platforms. Then after the game, it'll either be a post-mortem for the season, or it'll be a preview and getting ready for Game 6. That'll happen on Thursday night after the Jets and the Stars. So one way or the other, you know that Thursday is going to be a big day for the Winnipeg Jets. We thank all of you for joining us tonight on the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback, and turn your notifications on. We just passed 8,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. We thank all of you for that. That's a big number, and that's all thanks to you and your loyal support. And so we appreciate that. But you know what's better than 8,000? 8,100.
Hey, Drew, we just added
200.
Drew, we just added
300.
Since I sent that tweet out yesterday, boys, we had another 30. So
there you go.
We are very much appreciating everyone subscribing to this channel. But I did look at the analytics, and it did say, Ezzy, that we could have more people who are subscribed, who watch the show, but they're not subscribing. So make sure, if you're going to do that, hit that subscribe button.
And because if the season ends on Thursday, we're going to have more time on our hands. So if we find out that you're watching but not subscribed, we're going to drive to your house and make you subscribe right.
We're going to do
there
house
in front of
calls.
us.
Yeah, we'll call them welfare checks.
Yeah, because don't forget, people, we've still got our end of season Moose Roundtable. We've still got,
of course.
And again, we're not going to start saying the end, but remember, this is going to be the place to have all the Jets content in the end of season media, which we don't think will be for some time.
There you go. Dave's still got confidence, as all of you do in the poll as well. Big thank you to our friends and our sponsors, of course, our friends at Play Now. Holt Dental. Look at my smile. That's thanks to Dr. Jonathan Holt and the team at Holt Dental.
Got great teeth, Drew.
Thank you. I never had braces, so my teeth are still surprisingly straight, and they're real. No fake teeth for me.
I had braces, and then I didn't wear my retainer, and that's why I have a space in my teeth.
Well, that fits because you also tore your ACL and didn't do rehab, and that's why you walk with a limp now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big thanks to Dr. Jonathan Holt and the team at Holt Dental. As I mentioned, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Boston Pizza, City Place will be there on Thursday, Seagram's, and the 2025 Rady JCC Sports Dinner with Minnesota Vikings legends Chris Carter and John Randall. That coming up in June as well. All these fine businesses, they support us, so we want you to support them. That's how it works. You give a little, you get a little. It's all fun and games here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Thank you all for joining us. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We'll see everybody on Thursday at City Place. Jets are down 3-1. Game 5's on Thursday. Until then, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.